Hello, viewers. Welcome to our podcast session. We have a guest today. The name of our guest is Chantelle Simone. Chantelle is a mindologist with over 19 years in the training and coaching industry. She has helped thousands of people shift their thinking. She's recognized as a prominent leader of the mind mastery. Our master certification in this field includes neuro-linguistic programming, timeline therapy, business process re-engineering. She has been able to change women's lives by reducing limitations in the mind that can lead to unfulfilled life. Please welcome to our podcast session, Chantelle Simone.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, Toby.
Right, let's start by getting to know who is Chantelle Simone. If you want to introduce yourself to somebody, what would you say?
Well, I like to keep things very simple. So I'll just say, hi, I'm Chantelle. And, I believe that each person, we all have a journey. We all have a story. I will normally say what I stand for. And there's three key things in my business that I stand for, and it's purpose, mind mastery, and truth. So I'm passionate about life. I am all about purpose and mind mastery, all things mind mastery.
Oh, that's good. Thank you so much. I also get to know that you have a program called Wake Up Live Show. This is a very important program. I've been on the show.
Yes.
Based on what we have going on right now, COVID-19, Black Lives Matter, and other challenges, why do you think this program is so important for people to adjust and make sure they can do the right thing amidst all the difficulties going on?
Yeah, great question. Well, there's two main programs that I'm doing. One is I have a mind mastery certification program, and the second is my show. So I have an online show. It's called the Wake Up and Live Show, and I'm on my third season right now. This season I dedicated to the voice of other people. I say it's your show. So this season I had it open and I allowed people to come on the show because I believe everybody has a voice. And during these times, through COVID, through Black Lives Matter, through even just reintegrating businesses, there's so many different conversations that are happening, at whether it's on the street or at the park or at the beach, in a coffee shop or in a lineup, or just with friends and family. And there's so many different perspectives that people have. Some people lean in and follow all the rules for COVID. They keep the 6 meters, they keep the mask, they encourage others, and they say, "Where's your mask?" And they're all for the rules that are told. Then there's people, you may look at them as rebels, who say, we don't need a mask, we're okay. It's a conspiracy theory. Same with Black Lives Matters. There's some people that get it and they're like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Let's go and let's protest. We need justice. Yet there's some people who also sit back and say, what's the big deal? The gentleman's going to jail. Like, okay, they got it. We don't have to, it's gone a little too far. So the goal was to be able to bring people's voices to the table. Because I believe, being a mindologist and studying and training for over 20 years this year, I believe that life is all about perspective.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, that's the theme of my show for the third season, is the power of perspective. So at the very least, of course, it's not our goal for everyone to agree on everything in life. But if we can at least understand where people are coming from, I believe it increases the connectivity with one another, because a lot of us are divided. We can't do anything divided. We can't have a common goal, a common march, a common anything move forward as a society if we're all divided. We heard the saying, divide and rule, right? So who's dividing us? So there's a lot of questions and there's a lot of solutions. But my goal for this show really was to get people's perspective and hear a perspective and give a perspective with the goal of understanding.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And that will lead me to the next question. When I check through what you're doing, you're helping people to reconnect with their truth.
Mm-hmm.
You're helping people to reconnect with their truth.
Yeah.
Based on the difficulties going on, how important is it to be able to reconnect to our truth?
It's super important to reconnect to our truth, especially during this time. You know where I discovered this whole process is me growing up. And I remember when I was 8, my parents moved from a not so good area to a pretty decent area when they had me. I'm the last of 3 children. And because of that, my environment was a little bit different. And I remember pulling up to a stoplight. And I looked to my left and I looked to my right, and I saw a car. It looked like a yellow Lamborghini.
Yeah.
And so it was a nice car. There was an older Caucasian gentleman driving it with a nice flashy watch, and he had a little swag, and it looked like he was successful. It looked like he got what he wanted in life. And I made a decision at that time that I will never, whatever he did to get what he wanted, I can do to get what I want in life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I started my journey. And on the way, I realized that I wanted to strive for something more. But society, including my parents, because they wanted the best for me, they kept telling me the 3 key things to have a good life: go to school, get good grades, get a good job. Right? Those are the 3 key things that we keep hearing over and over again. So I did that. I didn't really feel right. I wanted to do other things. I didn't particularly want to go to university. I loved education, but I didn't, maybe not that specifically, but I did it like many others just for that paper and to say that I did. And when I got the job, and then I got the education, I got the job, I hit 6 figures, I got the home, I was driving the cars that I wanted. And I was getting married. I thought I have arrived. Okay, this is it. This is what this society kept telling us to do, until I realized that I still internally wasn't fulfilled. I used to travel. I used to do the things that I wanted to do, but there was something more deep on the inside. And that literally launched my journey, because from my perspective, I said, society lied to me. You know, I thought I was supposed to be happy with all these things and fully fulfilled, but there was a little bit of a void inside. Sure, it brought some happiness, but not to the depth. And that's when I realized the importance of reconnecting to our truth, because it doesn't matter how much money you have or how much money you don't have. It doesn't matter how many opportunities and doors that open to you, or how many opportunities, doors that are closed. If you're not internally satisfied and fulfilled and connected, we will always be missing something. Too many of us look for solutions outside of us. That's why we turn to drugs or alcohol or relationships or damaging relationships or material things. We seek things outside of us externally. And as long as we keep doing that, we'll keep missing the mark. So even more in these times, I truly believe that if we can just deep dive into the core of who we are and our true beings, and we can connect to something greater, and that's how we do it, is through the mind, which is the reason why I studied the mind for over 10 years and have 5 master certifications. And because I just stumbled upon that because I was on a search for truth. And now I'm here to help others reconnect to the truth.
Oh, that's good. So, for example, if I want to reconnect to my truth, what are the steps that I can take?
Yeah, great question. Well, in a grand picture, what it looks like if someone says, well, what is reconnecting to your truth? What it looks like is knowing thyself. Know thyself, knowing yourself. And also knowing yourself involves knowing who created you beyond your mother and your father. directly, mother and father, right? So that's what really connecting to your truth is, because many people are living lives because their family said this is the life you're going to live. Maybe you grew up in a house full of doctors, so now it's natural that you got to be a doctor. Or maybe your mom wanted, she never got to be that artist and she had to work corporate, so she's pushing you to be an artist, and so it is. But if there's something disconnected on the inside, that keeps us longing for things. So my process, how I did it, believe me, like totally, one of the key things is I'm going to tell you to reconnect with yourself, to see something that you haven't seen yet. You're going to need help. Doing it alone is long. It's tedious, it's treacherous, and it's not necessary. I attempted to do it on my own. And so I'm speaking from full experience here. I spent 6 years. After university, I a lot of people that were lining up. This was about 15 years ago. A lot of people were lining up jobs. I had a degree in finance. They're lining up jobs with major banks where I'm from, and they're asking me, Chantelle, do you have all these job interviews? I was like, what? I just slaved in university it was a 4-year program. I did it in 3 years because I really wanted to just get out. I just wanted the paper, remember? So nonetheless, I started to travel the world. As soon as I finished, I was like, I went as far as I could. I went from Canada, I got my degree in Canada, and I went to Japan. And that started my travels. I've lived in about 6 different countries, and I was looking for something. This is what I realized in retrospect. Why did I keep going from country to country? I was looking for something. So I traveled the world. I climbed mountains. I went to temples. I prayed. I meditated. All these things that you hear out there, even nowadays you can Google. Back then it wasn't as easy, but now for sure you could just Google, how do I meditate? How do I reconnect with myself? And you'll find stuff. But the thing is, totally, what I realized is that there's little bits of information out there, and that was helpful, but it kept giving me, let's say, part of the answer. I never got the full process. So this is why it took me 6 years to really reconnect to my purpose, why I'm here, to understand the role of God in my life, to understand what I liked and what I didn't like, to heal from past trauma. It took me 6 years of a process that when I hired a coach or a mentor at the time, she nailed it in 6 days. I was like, wow, I could have saved some time. So really, I would say connect with someone. This is why I created this certification process. I used to work with clients one-on-one. Then I switched. That was back in 2013. Then I switched to group. And I've been doing group for a little while and embedded in some organizations working with team dynamics. And to me, that was giving people the fish. And now I'm teaching people how to fish. So if you want to know the full process from inside out, and it depends on where you're at, it depends on what you've already done, it depends on your programming. Everybody needs something different, but there is a process, and there's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, for example, and maybe you're good at E and you're good at B, but there's some gaps that you need. So it takes somebody that understands the process and can help navigate you to get to the full picture so that you can do it over and over and over again for the rest of your life. And to me, that's what it's about.
That is good. It looks like you've seen my first book. The title of my first book is Stay in Your Lane.
I love it.
And somebody said, wow, that sounds like a cliche. Like it's a common saying, like stay in your lane, don't disturb me, that kind of thing. But the idea of it is also saying that we're all born to do something. Eventually, we have to be able to discover that particular thing so that we can be happy and be fulfilled, which is still what you're talking about. And the idea is the society, like you said, is telling us, well, that's not the way to go about it. You need to go to school, get a good grade, get a good job, pay your bills, and just stay like that until you have to go away and go and rest somewhere.
Yeah.
And the idea is that people who actually change the world, they find out something that they can actually do very well. Just one thing or two.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's one thing. If you look at the world generally, people that are actually influencing people positively they're just doing one thing. They don't
Yeah.
have multiple jobs. They don't have 5 jobs like we're all trying to have, which is why my first book is almost going to be out. It's going to be stay in your lane. And I'm actually happy that you're saying all these. And that was why I asked the question, in case I want to know my truth. How do I do that? And I like what you said, self-awareness. The problem with self-awareness is that it's very difficult to do it alone, because sometimes we don't tell ourselves the truth, but another person can tell us the truth so that we can adjust based on the feedback that we're getting. And thank you very much.
Oftentimes we don't tell ourselves the truth. I think we actually keep lying to ourselves over and over again, and it breaks, our mind. We have a relationship with our mind. So if we keep lying to ourselves, our mind gets confused. It's like, wait a minute, why are you telling me that when it's really like this? So your mind is such a powerful asset, and you can use it to your ability. You can use it for your good. It can bring things to you. You've heard of manifestation, all this sort of stuff. There's a process and it's a formula. It's not crossing your fingers and praying that it comes. I go through that in my courses, but it's our mind that helps attract that. But if we break our relationship with our mind by lying to ourselves, or, it's just like, honestly, Tolu, a lot of people say, hey, Tolu, how are you? And you say, oh, I'm good. How are you? That's like a common response. But what if you're having a bad day? Be real. I'm all about authenticity. My personal values are authenticity, results, and excellence. Be real with yourself. It's another way to reconnect. So if you're not having a good day, it doesn't mean that you have to focus on that. And I don't recommend saying I'm having a crappy day or anything like that either, because where your focus goes, your energy flows, and that's what you get more of. But I would say, if you're not having a good day, if someone says, how are you? Say, I could be, I'm hoping to be much better. Find a different way to phrase it without lying to yourself.
Wow, that's good. And that will lead me to my next question, because we start talking about mindology. You're a mindologist. And now, how can we use the knowledge from mindology to help ourselves during these difficult times of COVID-19, Black Lives Matter, and so many things? How can somebody be able to say, well, based on the fact that I know that I have a mind of my own, I can be able to pull through this and become stronger at the end of the day?
Yeah, it's so, so important right now, because again, I shared my story of, going to school, getting a job, getting an education, and society lying to me, my realization at a young age. So society, there's somebody behind media, behind all these different things that actually have been conditioning us, conditioning our mind. I love the saying that we were born to win, yet conditioned to fail. It's our conditioning that has us on the streets right now. It's the conditioning that has people stuck in poverty. It's our conditioning that has depression rates increasing, suicide rates increasing. Think about it. If we have access to the World Wide Web in this computer, and we can type anything that we want in life, and the answer can be at our fingertips, why does it seem like the world is having more and more problems? It doesn't make sense. So for me, that right now, it is one of the most crucial times to really take hold of your mind and all the things that's being implanted in it, from what you see, what you touch, how you feel. There's 2 key elements with COVID-19 and Black Lives Matter movement, which has been manifested. These both current events started, let's say, since March-ish. The world went on lockdown since March, and then Black Lives came shortly after that. They're both emotionally charged. And if there's any business people focused out there, if you're a student and you're studying business, I'm going to tell you one key thing about business is that you never want to act on emotions. Business is not an emotional event. You got to take your emotions out of business deals, out of, any business relations, because that's not going to feed you. So no great solutions can come out of an emotional response. So right now, understanding the mind and really learning how to transform it and how to make it work for you is crucial. It's so critical. As a matter of fact, it's so critical, it actually encouraged me to speed up. I was launching my certification program in September, and I'm still doing the physical, meetup in September. We're going to be face-to-face because I'm going to be certifying on neuro-linguistic programming. If anybody's interested, you can contact me. I can maybe share my details at the end. Yes. But even though I'm fast forwarding to now, in July, I'm actually releasing my online mind certification process. So at least I can take you through modules and I can break it down how you can control your own mind and your thinking so that others don't control you. Mm-hmm. You know, I'll give you an example. There's something that I have, it's called a thought catch. And so it's a thought catch movement for us to just pay attention to what we're thinking about. Because the irony is most of us don't think about what we actually think about. Mm-hmm. So we become what we think. If we keep focusing in on all the solution, like the George Floyds and everybody that in the past, there's so many names, Brianna, there's so many names. But if we keep focusing in on that, mm-hmm. that's where our focus is. And there's a formula to our focus, and I'll share that with you. Our focus determines our behavior. Okay. And our behavior determines our results. Mm-hmm. So if we're not getting the results that we want in life, just ask yourself, where's my focus? Mm. And it's all up here. So protect your mind. What a thought catch is, it's the way to be able to, when a negative thought pops up, whether it's a self-sabotaging thought, or I can't do it, or I hate them, and this, or I'm in fear, I'm gonna catch COVID. When these thoughts pop up, because guess what? The National Science Foundation says that 80% of our thoughts are negative.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. That is more. That is the majority of your thinking is negative in this day and age because of our programming. We weren't born like that, of course, but it's because of our programming. So when you have a negative thought, so it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You have that negative thought, what do you do with it? Because stopping it from coming up, that's a whole nother conversation, and I actually go through that in my course. But when it comes up, let's at least deal with it. Instead of letting it linger and fester and drive our life, catch it. The first step in the thought catch is to recognize the thought. When you start to doubt yourself, when you have a business idea, you may be a student watching and you've just finished class, you're like, oh, I'm going to open this business. And you're excited, you go tell maybe your parents say, well, starting a business is not easy. You're going to need capital, you're going to need advisors. And they start, all these doubting things come into your head. And you're like, oh, how am I going to do that? And you start doubting yourself. That's a negative thought. So recognize when you do that. It's so important because it might be unconscious. And if you let it go run wild, that's where your life is going. Remember the focus formula. So recognize your thought. That's the first R. The second R is reject it. Mm-hmm. Take it out of your mind. Reject it. So how I reject it, you can evenly, our words are so powerful. They dictate our life. Mm-hmm. So I normally say cancel, cancel, cancel. I may say, oh my gosh, I'm going to be late for work. Cancel, cancel, cancel. I'm going to be right on time. I'm going to be right on time. I'm going to find that parking spot. I'm going to get exactly what I need. So that brings us to the third R, which is replace it with something more empowering. Mm-hmm. Our words dictate our life. So that's what a thought catch is. So at the very least, I encourage everybody to start thought catching. I have a Facebook group. You can join the group. It's complimentary, we're building that. So remember, it's to recognize your thought, reject it, and replace it. That is a thought catch.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You mentioned something about being able to replace something that you mentioned about the timing, you're driving late, but you're trying to be positive. What if you're actually going to be late. How would you tell the person you're going to be late? How would you balance that in that kind of situation?
Tell the person. So I love that question, and you said some key words there. A lot of people, when they say I'm trying to be positive, this is another principle that I talk about. You see, they say nothing new is under the sun, but what I've determined, Tolu, is that there's a lot of information out there, and of course, motivational world, it's all you can do it, think positive, right? But the thing is, thinking positive also can lead us to lying to ourselves. Because if we don't believe it, your mind again is going to be like, huh? We're confused. You're saying this, but you don't believe it. Yeah. Our mind is so powerful, and it pays attention to everything we say, what we write, what we do, what we think. So, great question. If you're on the road and you're driving, and you got 5 minutes, there's traffic, and your work is 15 minutes away, and you're going to say, oh my gosh, I'm going to be late because of this traffic. Logically, in your mind, it makes sense because there's traffic, 50 minutes. Your ETA on your GPS on your phone is saying, oh, you'll be there 15 minutes after, etc. Now you may say, oh, I'm going to be there on time. But if you're really focusing on the logical side of how can I be there on time? There's traffic and there's 15 minutes. But if you say I'm going to be on time, that actually creates the lie when I say you're lying to yourself. So no, that's not going to work. You have to be like, there's going to be, clear the traffic. Like, just imagine yourself. And most of the times when your faith and your belief is 100%, and I'm going to share something with you. 1% of doubt is the same as 100% of doubt.
1% and wow.
It's the same. 1% of doubt is the same as 100% of doubt. So if there's a little of you doubting, it won't manifest, because I live, breathe, and eat this stuff. I know a lot of other people that do. It's almost unbelievable the things that can happen, what we can do with our thinking. So there was many times I was driving, I was in traffic. I'm living in Los Angeles. The 405 here, if anybody's ever been in Los Angeles, it is like traffic city. Okay, there's traffic, doesn't matter what time of the day. And so many times I'm in the car and fighting traffic. You just never know. It could be 10 minutes delay or 50 minutes delay. But there are times when I'm driving and I said, I'm going to be right on time because I need to. Maybe it's a big business meeting or a meeting, a great person, and I don't want to, it's the first time, first impression, it could be a job interview for some of you. So it's going to be important to be on time. So if you truly believe, I'm going to show up on time, I'm going to show up on time, I'm going to be there on time, it's going to work out perfectly, it's going to work out perfectly. Let me tell you my results, just speaking from experience. I don't speak on theories alone, I speak on actual practical experience. There's times where, number one, all of a sudden my GPS said free calculating, and it said found a shorter distance. And I got off the exit, I took some back streets, and I made it on time. There's times where I get a text message from the person that I'm meeting saying, hey, I'm stuck in traffic, I'll be 15 minutes late. And I'll be there in 10 minutes, they'll be there in 15 minutes. So now I'm sitting waiting for them. So yeah, I may have been a bit delayed, but now to them, I'm not late, they're late. So you just gotta, I have a saying, and that will kind of wrap that part up, is